He sat me down and he was like, let's rob boys. So I'm like, I sat there and I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, damn, we should rob boys. On everything. You know everybody, you know my whole family.
The whole team.
God.
100.
100.
Double salute. Wildlife 100.
Wildlife 100.
I've been in the trap every day, I don't get much sleep.
Wildlife 100.
Something so real, so real, you can feel it in your knees. I need something like you, do you need someone like me?
What's moving, everybody? Hey, man, listen, if you here, you already know what's going on, man. I got another crazy story for y'all. You feel what I'm saying? You see the caption of this video, and a lot of y'all dropped plug on my previous videos, and I told y'all that I would give y'all the story, so I'm just here to deliver. But look, let's rewind it back and let's get straight on into the story. Now, if you've been watching part 1 and part 2 of when my best friend sent me to jail, then y'all know I talk about my brother a lot. Now, my brother, he wasn't staying with me at first, right? He was actually staying in a trap house with some other D-boy, you know, and he was kind of working with him and doing certain things like that with him. And, you know, they were just making their money over there on their side of town. You know, I think they was on the north side or something like that. You feel me? I just so happened to be on the east side off River Road. You know, I was doing my thing. I had two best friends. I had a fat boy and a skinny boy. We did everything together. Now, if you watch part 1 and part 2 of my best friend sending me to jail, then y'all know the fat boy, he drove the Monte Carlo, and the skinny boy, he was more so, you know, we kind of pretty much did the dirt together. You get what I'm saying? Like, the big boy, he was the getaway driver, and the skinny boy, he was like my right hand, you know? If y'all watch part 1, then y'all know that we was out here robbing. We was out here just robbing everybody and everything. Houses, people, all type of stuff like that, right? So what ended up happening is I kind of got a little further in my robbing career maybe than my other two best friends that I was hanging with. Now, mind you, I was hanging with these guys every single day. We just didn't do everything together, you know, because I kind of put them on to the whole robbing scene, you know. So I got a little further in my career, and I started noticing that they started hanging out a little more frequently without me. Yeah, I did certain things without them, but it was because I had the free time. It wasn't because I was just trying to exclude them or anything like that. Like, I was, not only did I have the free time, but I was really into what I was doing. You know, like when you find a hustle, you want to abuse it. You don't, you know, if it's working, you trying to get as much out of it as possible. So that's why I used to do certain things on my own. You know, they might have been at school, or they might have been with a girl, or they might have been whatever the case, and I was just doing what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I noticed they started distancing themselves away from me just a little bit. You know, not nothing too major, but it was like, you know, they had certain moves with females without me and certain stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really see it too deep because, you know, I was busy. I was doing my thing. You know, I had jumped into a life full throttle, right? So they would come over, and sometimes I just let them know, like, look, this is what I got going on. This is what I got going on. You know, you can come with me on this lick or whatever the case like that. Then eventually I start picking up selling tree. You feel me? So when I picked that up, I tried to put them boys on too. You know, I told my best friend, the skinny one, I'm like, listen, this how you do it. You know, this where you can get it from, all this stuff. Like, you know, I'm just putting them down. I'm teaching them the math and everything, right? He decides to go to somebody different than who I usually go to, and which so happened to be his brother. Now, his brother, he did have certain things, but it was like he was selling him fake tree. You know, it looked real good. It had a little smell on it, but it didn't really have no potency at all. You know, we come to find out, he used to buy that junk out the magazines and stuff like that. You know, it was very low potency, and he was charging his brother at the max. You know, so essentially he wasn't making as much money as I was, and because he wasn't making as much as I was, it kind of hindered him in kind of keeping up with my style, the things that I was liking to do. I had just bought a car, stuff like that. You know, it kind of, I guess he kind of felt kind of left behind, because he even resorted. I remember one day I bought a whole True Religion outfit. You know, that's when True Religion was really just popping. You feel me? I'm like 18 years old. So I bought a whole True Religion outfit, and I remember he had ended up robbing his own cousin. Not robbing him, but he went to his cousin's house and stole from his own cousin a lot of clothes, a lot of True Religion clothes and stuff like that. And I'm guessing just to keep up with what I had going on. Cause like I told you, we used to kick it every other day at least. And I should have seen that as a sign from the beginning too. But like I told you, I was looking at these folks. I was putting my full trust in these folks. You know, these was my friends. I felt like, and I just felt like, you know, we was inseparable. I felt like, you know, it was just us. You know, so I get a call one day, and basically it's my brother. He like, hey man, I gotta come to the house. The guy who I've been working with, the D boy who I've been working with, we just fell out. He kicked me outside. He kicked me out the trap. You know, cause they was both staying in the same house. They was staying in the trap. So they kicked me out the trap, and it was raining that day. You feel me? So I'm like, all right, bet. Just come on to the spot. You gotta wait to the spot. Just come on to the house. You know, cause mind y'all, I told y'all I ain't had no license or anything. I had just bought a car, but I ain't have any credentials. So I ain't want to drive all the way to like Buford Highway or somewhere. It was well past where I should have been going. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't want to go way out there, and I ain't have any credentials for my car. You know, that would have been crazy. I'm like, yeah, if you gotta wait here, just come on down to my house. You good? You feel me? So when my brother came down to my house, man, that was all she wrote, bro. Straight up, that was really the beginning of the end of me and my best friend relationship. You know, but I didn't know it. I seen it, but I didn't necessarily take it for what it was. You know, so when my brother got down there, we just started doing moves together. You know, mind you, I introduced him to my best friends and all, but it was like they didn't even really mesh. You know, I don't know what that was about. You know, I would invite girls over to the house. It'd be all of us. I invite girls over, and my brother, he was always on that. He was always on what I was on. Now it's like he's the wingman instead of my best friend. You know, the skinny guy. The skinny guy was always the wingman, or he was always on what I was on for the most part. Now it's like the roles reversed or something. You know, my brother became more of the wingman and became more of like somebody who was fitted for my lifestyle, right? And on top of the fact that, you know, we was on all the same stuff, you know. Like he came down here and he was hustling. I was hustling. You feel me? My best friends, they were still trying to figure certain things out, and that's just the way it went, you know. So one day we were sitting in the room, and my best friends, you know, they decided to leave to go do something. I don't know. They was kind of secretive about it, you know. But I wasn't paying it no mind. You know, it is what it is. Like we all little men. You feel me? So I ain't really clocking what you doing. I ain't really studying what you doing. Like it is what it is. Like I trust you. You trust me. We boys. You feel me? That's how it was. They made a way to like separate themselves that day for whatever reason. Cause it was me, the fat boy, the skinny boy, and my brother. You know, we was all kicking it. And they didn't necessarily like kicking it with my brother around for whatever reason, you know. So when they left, my brother kind of brought this to my attention. He told me hey, bro, I don't really trust them, fool. Like, I don't think they got your best interest. And a couple people told me this that actually loved me, you know, back then. But I just, you know, if I'm a ride, I'm a ride, you know. So I really wasn't just. I'm just like, listen, bro. I feel you, but you got to get to know these folks. I get y'all don't really mesh, but you know, if you get to know them like I know them, then maybe you'll grow to like them. When they left, he like, hey, let's devise a plan. I know we selling our little tree or whatever like that, and I know you doing your little, you know, your little robberies or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at that point I was getting money, but it was like little robberies, like, you know, like robbing somebody on the street or running in somebody's house or something like that. And this is before we actually did the big robbery that caught us the case. He sat me down and he was like, let's rob dope boys. You feel me? So I'm like, I sat there and I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, damn, we should rob dope boys. On everything. Cause listen, my mind had already started playing with me from just running down on random people. You know, I ain't never just necessarily been that type of person as far as just running down on innocent people. But, you know, that was just the time. That just was the timing that I was on at that time, you know? So I was slick trying to figure out a way to get out of that situation anyway, or to make bigger money in that situation. And that was the idea I needed. It was like a light bulb went off. It was like, damn, all right, I ain't gotta necessarily rob innocent people. I could take off people that are actually kind of not even supposed to be doing what they doing. And then on top of that, they not supposed to be doing this, so who they gonna tell? You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been worried about anybody trying to get it back in blood or nothing like that. I wasn't never scared of man like that. You feel me? Like, I was really outside, and even still to this day, if y'all look at some of my previous videos, y'all will know, like, with this whole gang banging stuff and all that, like, I never really just been the type to be scared of nobody. So so I'm like, all right, bet. What you got? So, man, when I tell y'all, this man got a piece of paper and a pen, and he wrote down like a couple dope boys that he knew. And he like, all right, he wrote like a map. It was like a map, bro. He like, all right, we're gonna hit this one, we're gonna hit this one, then we gonna hit that one, and then we gonna be straight. So I'm like, all right, bet. So of course the first guy that we was projected to hit was the guy that kicked him out in the rain. It was like a double whammy. You feel me? He knew what everything was. On top of the fact that you just kicked me out in the rain and this get back. You get what I'm saying? And my brother, he was always like the muscle too in certain situations. So a lot of these guys were scared of him, as well as me to an extent. He was a little more thorough than I was. I was a thinker in the situation. So we gear up. We like, all right, bet. This what we gonna do. He drew out the outline. He like, we should expect this. We can get in like this, all that like that. He drew up another map. So I'm like, all right, cool. We ain't gonna need the map. You know what I'm saying? But hey, whatever. You feel me? I end up calling Big Boy my fat best friend, right? So remember I told y'all he was always a getaway driver. So I called him, and he might have met up with us like the next day. The skinny boy, he played baseball for the high school, so he was probably at a baseball game or something like that. I don't know. Plus, we didn't necessarily have room for him because at the end of the day, Big Boy drove a Monte Carlo. You feel me? So it wasn't too much room in there for him, us, and whatever we grabbed. So he ended up pulling up like the next day, right? And we hop in the whip. And my brother, he tell Big Boy exactly where to go. We head up to the north side, and I don't remember exactly what part of the north side it was, like I said, but it was a housing community. Big Boy, he parked on the side towards the back of the house, and we went through the back door. Now, before we got to the back door, it was like a gate, right? And my brother, he couldn't necessarily get in the gate. I don't know if it was a lock on the gate or whatever like that. And mind y'all, it's like 3 in the afternoon, bro. 3 in the afternoon. It's broad daylight. I don't know if it was a lock on the gate or whatever the case, but I just remember my brother trying to get in. He couldn't get in, so he just broke the whole gate, fool. Like, he just he just ran into the gate on everything. He did one of them run backs and then ran into the gate, and that thing just bust open. It was a wooden gate. It was already kind of raggedy, whatever. So we get into the back gate, and long behold, the back sliding door was already open, so we just slid that thing open. As soon as we slid the back sliding door open, my brother, he went and searched the room for a little second. Within 15-20 seconds, he found a baby He loaded it up. He gave it to me. He told me to stand by the door because the front door was parallel to the back sliding door. So if we at the back sliding door, the front door was right there in front of us, right? So this wasn't a big house, So he loaded it up. He gave it to me. He said, if anybody come in this house, let it go. You feel me? I said, what? Okay, but damn. You know what I'm saying? So I stood by the front door for a minute with the little baby and he searched the rest of the house. You know, I just hear him wrestling for stuff. Mind you, when we first walked in, I forgot to tell y'all that part. When we first walked in, it was a trash can full of about 15, 20 peas a tree. Just a big old construction trash bag, black trash bag with like 15, 20 peas a tree, bro. He tied that up, wrapped it up, left it right there, gave me the baby chopper. Now he went on to the other parts of the house to go see what else was in there. So apparently, he was supposed to have some money stashed in the house, like 50,000 or something close to it. You feel me? So that's what he was looking for. I'm standing by the front door with that thing, right? And it seemed like he was taking forever. Y'all know when y'all in a sticky situation, a couple minutes seem like forever. You feel me? So I got restless. I'm like, man, I don't know who finna walk in this door. You feel me? I know Shawty got kids and all type of stuff, and at that point in time in my life, I was the type to really let it go. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of who walked in or whatever the case would have been. So I thank God nobody walked in that door. You feel me? But I got nervous and I got tired of waiting. So I let the chop down and I get to running around. Well, I'm still holding it, but I get to running around helping my brother look. You know, we looking in the freezer. We looking in the up under the bed. We looking in the deep freezer. Nigga had a deep freezer. We looking in under the table, under the mattress, under the everything. You feel me? We could not find that paper, fool. So we ended up just taking a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff, a PlayStation, an Xbox. He took some clothes, you know what I'm saying? We had already got the whole a whole bag full of trees, so we weren't really just tripping about nothing else for real, you know? So we put everything else in another trash bag, so we run out the back door, out the back sliding door. Now, one of us got the bag of tree, the other one got the bag of everything else, like the PlayStation and all that stuff like that. Mind you, we 18. You know what I'm saying? We just taking. You know what I'm saying? So, and then we couldn't find the stuff that we really wanted. So, you know, we just made do. So, we hop in the whip. But before we hop in the whip, we throw everything in the trunk. Now, if y'all know a Monte Carlo, y'all know it ain't got much trunk space. Feel me? So, we ended up throwing all of the PlayStations and stuff in the trunk because it wasn't much trunk space. That bag was smaller. And we rode with 15, 20 peas a tree in the back seat, bro. I'm in the back seat with about 15, 20 of them. Just praying we don't get stopped. You feel me? We got a 30-minute ride from the north side all the way to the east side. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, it wasn't no traffic. So on everything. So, and I'm back there. I'm like, I'm trying not to look out the window. I'm trying not to look crazy. This bag almost as tall as me. You know what I'm saying? To an extent, that's how it felt. You feel me? Because it wasn't nothing was ziplocked. It was like literally just bags of them. You know, like it nothing was zipped. You know, it was just bags in a bag. You feel me? So so the bag was kind of big. So I'm back there with the bag and I'm just hoping, you know, we just make it there safely. So man, we ride. I'm praying. We get to about Candler Road or something, and I just felt a sense of relief, you know, cause this our exit. We get off on Candler Road. We make a couple turns. We on River Road. It's all good, you know. We home free. So we get off on Candler Road. We make them couple turns. Soon as we got into our complex, I felt so accomplished, bro. I felt like I had crossed the finish line, my dog. You know what I'm saying? On everything, it felt that was one of the best feelings in the world to get off, not get caught, and and actually have something worth something. You feel me? So we ended up taking everything inside. My mama, I don't know what I think. My mama, she used to work all the time. You know, I was still staying with my mama. She used to work out. She had like 2-3 jobs or something like that. You know, and which I was trying to develop a situation where she didn't have to work so much, but she knew a lot of the stuff that I was doing. She just didn't approve of it, you know? Like she really didn't approve of it. I remember when we took everything inside, I went up into my room and Big Boy, he like, "Hey, so what you gonna give me?" You know, cause we supposed to pay him off. I think we gave him like $250 and a PlayStation or something like that. Nothing too major, but nothing too small either. You know, you just a getaway driver. You feel me? So we ended up or at least that's how we felt. You know, so we ended up going upstairs in the room, and we had got a triple beam also, and we ended up just weighing up everything. We started weighing up everything, and I remember my mama got off work, and she walked in my room, bro, and she seen us weighing up all this tree, bro, and she didn't know what else to say. The only thing she said was, "Oh, y'all think y'all Scarface or something in here," and closed the door and left. I know she was disappointed in me. I could see it all in her face, you know, but I was just too far in, too deep in to even acknowledge that fact. You know, I knew I was hurting my mama though. You feel me? But and I knew she didn't necessarily know how to tame me or how to go about making me stop or making me understand that I was becoming a problem. You know, so she, that's she just didn't. I could just tell she didn't know what to do. So she closed the door and left, and that was the beginning of our real trapping days for real. You know what I'm saying? Hey, and look, it's so crazy because we devised a plan, right? I'm like, listen, bro, do we not gonna sell none of this without each other? You know what I'm saying? Like this the most you ever had. It's the most I never had. To avoid folks getting over on us because you new to this side of town. Yeah, folks is getting to know you as an aggressor and stuff like that, and folks know me, but to avoid us from going through certain things, let's just stay together. You feel me? That didn't last long. But hey, listen, man. Hey, look, check it out, man. If y'all want the second part to the plug story, because it got deep, fool. I'm talking about we was outside. I'm talking about we was outside really slanging and we done made a trap. We done shouted and got hit for something. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. It was wild. If y'all want the plug story, the part two, right? Plug two in the comments, and I'm gonna give y'all that. Yeah, that's about the time I took the plug off. It was me and my brother. We took him off, and that was the beginning of the end for real. You know, we had a crazy run though. If y'all want part two, drop plug two in the comments, and until next time, man. 100.